Well, maybe we should go back to Greg Bishop's suggestion that we raise taxes. Was that your suggestion? No, I
never said that. I have not advocated for much of anything, including raising taxes. That was Governor J.B. Pritzker at a stop here in Springfield yesterday on his tour to promote a new program. That's the Smart Start program. It's an early childhood education program. And I was there as I'm at a lot of news conferences outside of the show this morning. Every morning, I run over to the State House when they're in session. I talk with lawmakers. I go to news conferences. I ask questions. I'm a reporter, exercising my First Amendment free press rights each and every day and taking you along for the ride. So I appreciate everybody tuning in here with Springfield's Morning News and on YouTube as well with Bishop on Air. So greatly appreciate that. But just in the conversation about the governor's budget, that's been asked about what are we going to see when it comes to the possibility of tax increases? Because as State Representative Tony McCombie, who's the House Minority Leader, the leader of the Republicans, she said that you can't necessarily have increased spending and not have the possibility of more taxes that could come about. And here's just some of what House Minority Leader Tony McCombie had to say about that prospect of more spending, more taxes.
If they're going to continue these programs year after year, there's only one way to pay for things, and that's to raise the dollar amount, and you can only do that through taxing.
So, again, I asked Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday about how are you going to ensure that we don't have tax increases with continued spending increases and new permanent programs that he's wanting to bring about. Here's what the governor's response was to my question, but then a follow-up question from another reporter, a different reporter, who literally said, well, why don't you put more money into K through 12 education? So we'll hear that entire exchange here now on WMAY.
To ensure that new programs like this don't lead to tax increases down the in years ahead, especially if there's a possibility of this.
Well, very important to note that every budget that I put forward has had a revenue estimate associated with it that has been conservative, and that we have carefully watched throughout the year. In fact, after we've proposed it and gotten it passed, then we watched those revenue estimates, and where we had to make an adjustment one year was in the middle of the 2021, the FY21 year, when we were at the worst moments of the COVID-19 crisis, and we saw revenues fall off the cliff. And what did we do? We immediately went to work to cut expenditures out of government, $711 million that we cut out so that we could make sure and make ends meet. Fortunately, things have improved significantly since then, in part because of the work that the legislators behind me did to make sure that we had the revenue associated with the needs for the state, and that we focused only on the normalized revenue. And this is the important thing to note. Where we ever thought that there were surpluses that weren't due to the normal state revenues that come in from sales tax, individual income tax, and corporate income tax, we took those revenues and what did we do with them, those surpluses rather? We put them into paying down debt in the state, and we've paid down more than $10.5 billion of debt just over the last couple of years. It's a big deal because it also means an ongoing savings in interest that would have been owed. And then we're also, as you know, we have put $500 million more than is required into our pensions, again, to lower that liability, and $200 million more suggested for the next budget. Peter.
And he gets another question from a different reporter who quotes Advance Illinois about K through 12 schools and says that the evidence-based funding model isn't necessarily doing enough to fully fund schools. So why not just put even more tax dollars into K through 12 schools?
15 years before all schools are adequately funded, which means one of those kids out there in the hallway could be a sophomore in
Says
college.
kids in sophomore, of college, their school won't be fully funded.
Is there any way you could possibly
put more money into schools, he says.
The bare minimum?
Well, maybe we should go back to Greg Bishop's suggestion that we raise taxes. Was that your suggestion? No, the truth is,
there I say, don't put words in my mouth. So Governor J.B. Pritzker having a little bit of fun yesterday at his news conference in Springfield, and then he toured the state with other announcements he was making, and having various school officials and child care development officials talking about the importance of funding these programs. But the governor was also asked about the presidency, because there's been a lot of speculation that the Democrat governor is possibly looking to run for the White House in 2024. But that's only, if President Joe Biden doesn't decide to run. We've got a headline here. Doctor says Biden is vigorous as he readies for a 2024 bid. So the latest doctor's report on Joe Biden says that, hey, there's some things. He's 80 years old. He's got some ailments, but he's vigorous, they say. Well, Governor J.B. Pritzker was asked yesterday at a stop down in St. Louis area, and he was asked specifically if voters should get some kind of younger choice for a primary in the Democratic race.
A younger generation. Should Democratic primary voters get that same option to have a younger generation candidate as a contrast in the primary? Do you want to see that option on the table?
I don't think this is a question about age. This is a question about competency and getting things done. This president, no matter what age you want to point to and say, gee, that's older than I would like, this president has accomplished so much in a very short period of time. We're 2 years into his presidency, and think about what he has accomplished. So he is running for re-election. I'm supporting him in that endeavor because people want to get things done. That's what I've been trying to do for 4 years as governor. It's what I hope to do over the next 4 years. People want to get things done. And so you got to drive forward to work on it. He's had a hard situation, too. Very divided Congress to work with. And yet he's brought Republicans over the line to support things that he believes in. And by the way, they've won some concessions in the process to get things that they want. I think we should be doing that here in the state of Illinois, too. And this session, Republicans have said that they are willing to work with Democrats, and I look forward to that.
So we'll see what happens with that new hope of bipartisanship, but the governor making the rounds again yesterday on a couple of different fronts. But back to the possibility of who could be up for consideration in 2024, Chicago Tribune reporting that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, is heading to speak to the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police Monday in Elmhurst, Illinois. So what's going on there? We'll watch that closely and see what kind of updates we get out of Florida's governor coming to Illinois. Real quick phone call. We would have gone to that, but that call dropped off. So appreciate you guys chiming in here on WMAY.